Tag TV and Tag Radio be seen and heard by both technology users and technology producers throughout the state of Georgia and around the world. Low cost, big benefits, powerhouse online branded video and audio has arrived. Tag TV, Tag Radio, there's a lot more to know. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. They were first responders with no idea of what to expect. The most firefighters that gave their all since 9/11. A fateful day in 2007, Charleston, South Carolina, a blaze so immense that it consumed an entire sofa warehouse, trapped inside. Yet what if technology existed for potential victims or first responders to be able to use a smartphone to stream videos from inside the building to the fire chief outside the burning structure, to give them a visual of the real-time situation, while at the same time instantly send to the rescue team location data on where each potential trapped victim or firefighter were at the moments between, well, life or death. Greetings, everyone. It's Friday, March 9th, 2012, and this is an historic new TAG chapter edition of Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. I'm your guest host, Frank Baia. That's right, historic because this is the inaugural of frequent visits around the state to meet new TAG members as the Tech Talk visits TAG Augusta to speak with Dr. Gordon Jones, founder of Guardian Watch, the first mobile app that lets you use your mobile phone camera to report an emergency and help 9/11 see and hear what is going on at the scene of the crime, fire, or car crash before they get there. Gordon, a 20-year veteran of the health IT industry, created Guardian Watch from an idea stimulated by the 2007 sofa warehouse fire in Charleston. Later moving to Augusta, he continued to turn his innovation into a reality, launching the Augusta-based company in 2011. A beta app was launched in July of that year and later released the vicinity-based alert notification. Now, Guardian Watch is poised for its official full launch efforts in Atlanta in the summer of 2012. Innovation. Across the sectors of technology, we're all Georgia leads, and from the creative minds of technology professionals in every city across the state. It's an inaugural TAG New Georgia chapter edition of Tech Talk as we go to TAG Augusta and learn about Guardian Watch and the game-changing idea of its creator, Dr. Gordon Jones. Gordon, welcome to Tech Talk.
Thank you, Frank. I appreciate it.
You know, we talked about dynamic, and then we used to talk about exponential, then we talked about dynamic fluidity. I think now things are phantasmagoric as it relates to video and the possible applications and uses for it. I think you really have hit on one that I think is extremely important and is potentially a game changer. Let's talk a little bit about the concept of Guardian Watch and what exactly you're doing as far as 9/11 videos and GPS systems.
Okay, well, sure. Well, basically, I came up with the idea because I'm from Charleston, and there, in 2007, was a fire called the Charleston Sofa Warehouse Fire, where 9 firefighters died. It was the highest death rate since 9/11, as a matter of fact, in one incident for firefighters. But what a lot of people don't remember is there was an employee who was trapped inside that building early on in the fire, and after years of reflection, basically, I thought, well, what if that person had a smartphone and they could have live streamed video from their smartphone out to the incident commander outside the building, allowing and giving the incident commander a visual, what we call visual awareness in the business, of what was going on inside the building and how could that have changed the events. And I'm not saying that it would have, but it certainly would have given them a lot more information than they were working with at the time.
So the concept begins to form. You start thinking about the possibilities. Take us now through the next step. What happens next?
Well, what ended up evolving was an application that is used in conjunction with a web application that, so when after somebody has downloaded an application onto their iPhone or their Android. They open it up and secure their location via GPS, and then they hit a button that opens up the camera, and as soon as they hit that start button, it's live streaming to our web servers. And then on the web side, a public safety organization, whether it's a fire department or a police department or a sheriff's department or 911 call center, when they observe that a report has landed on the map, and we're currently using Google Maps, that they can click on it and then see through the stream of what's going on the scene at that exact moment. As a matter of fact, we've created the live streaming in a way that it lands on the web service within 3 seconds. You may not know, but the average response time for a first responder is 9 minutes in the United States. So in order for us to get them that information before they get there, we needed to be there as quick as possible as well.
Now, obviously, you're dealing with multiple cultures in terms of the individual who signs up for the app, the experience of encountering the actual emergency. Now there's a handoff of that content to other infrastructures that ultimately get to the first responders. How are you building out that community, and how is it going?
Well, what we ended up doing, originally the name of the technology in the application was called 911 Observer. Pretty obvious when you see it in a 911 event and you're observing the 911 event, you can turn on the app and stream video. But even though there's 260 million calls made to 911 every year, not anybody really knows that they're going to make a call to 911. So why would they download an application that they may never use? Mm-hmm. So we had to come up with a business model that was more of what we call daily use. And we decided that with 40,000 neighborhood associations in the country and 18,000 registered neighborhood watch groups and crime watch groups, we thought that might be a good market to focus on. That would give us some leverage and give us some presence in all of the neighborhoods across the country. So we changed the name from 911 Observer to Guardian Watch and started creating the application oriented to neighborhood watch groups, neighborhood associations, and then also in partnership with National Sheriff's Association, assuring that the public safety side has a say in how it's designed and operates in conjunction with what a neighborhood watch is.
Now, from a technology standpoint, and for our technology tag members and our listening audience, it's certainly important to make a comment that, number one, the company is based out of Augusta. You started just last year. Things have been moving pretty quickly. The application was launched, in July? And now you're talking about pretty much a major release later on in part of last year and early this year with pretty aggressive plans about moving into Atlanta. Let's kind of shift gears a little bit from the technology, and let's talk about the idea of an entrepreneurial perspective and being a startup. How do you feel about that whole experience, and how's that going? What about funding and those kind of things?
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Well, I'm from Charleston, and Charleston is a fairly aggressive, forward-thinking city for its size. And when I moved to Augusta in 2007, I started to get to know the community, and it's a golf town, as you know, and though we have some very good technological companies, of course we have SRS, which is near us, and they've transferred from a nuclear bomb building plant over to a national lab, so they have a lot of new things going on out there. Plant Vogel is here. They were the last nuclear power plant to receive a license to build, and they're the first to get a new one in 40 years. And then we have the National Security Agency in Fort Gordon here that is basically the listening post of the world to try to find those terrorists out there. So we've got a lot of technology here, but it's not really a very good environment right now for entrepreneurs who are trying to start up companies. Most of the money that's here goes back into real estate development rather than funding startups. So one of the things that I had to do was reach out to Atlanta. I ran, of course, TAG and the Atlanta
ATDC,
Technology Development Center.
Yeah.
Was good. They were both great resources for me to kind of understand how we needed to write our business plan. I've written business plans before, but not tech-based business plans. So there's a lot of great help there. Though none of our funding came from Atlanta, I participated in the startup competition, business launch competition. That kind of helped me figure out what my pitch needed to be, and we ended up raising $115,000 from friends and family, and then a subsequent round of another $465,000 from an angel here in Augusta. But they were people I knew, so it wasn't like I was not kind of networked in already with these people. But anybody else in the Augusta area, it's kind of hard to start up a technology company and think that you're going to stay here.
Well, I think, first off is I'll give you a little bit of leadway and make you hopefully appreciate the fact that you were trying to raise money at probably one of the more challenging times for anybody to raise capital as far as venture capital for any technology was going. We've gone through, like the economy, a pretty soft period over the last couple of years, so I think in part that's something to consider. But the other side of it also is that I think it's a case where the rapid change in the evolution of these technologies make it difficult to find the VCs that really get an understanding of a specific vertical and a specific particular market to be able to understand where the real opportunity lies in terms of revenue streams. So
yes.
But again, I also note that I think part of a reflection on your technology leading edge thinking is that you're playing around with crowdfunding. How is that going for you?
Well, we're looking into it. We haven't really placed ourselves out there on Kickstarter or any of that yet because we're trying to figure out what the value is to the person who's going to fund through that vehicle. But we're looking into that. Right now, we're actually pretty well set. But if you know the fundraising game, we're supposed to be getting the money that we don't need now. so I'm kind of making those rounds. Kind of back to and that brings it up. There's no innovation from startup in the 911 emergency communication business. Most of them are spin-offs from bigger companies, or the innovations come out of the big companies themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so, from a VC standpoint, and even more important, angels. They don't understand the public safety space, even though they're going to be spending about $8.7 billion to turn their legacy 911 communication centers into IP-based centers. So there's a lot of opportunity there. There's not a lot of people, entrepreneurial, that are looking for ways to kind of grab some of those dollars. But we fit in there. We're not really going after the 911 market per se, but they can't receive a video, they can't receive a text, and their locations tracking on the mobile devices is very, very limited. They know where a landline ends, but when they try to track a mobile device and identify which 911 call center that call is supposed to go to, they have a difficult time doing that. And so we're hoping to augment 911 dispatch in public safety with our application. That's what we're looking to do.
Well, for our members and our listening audience, they'll be interested to note that you recently helped organize the inaugural TAG Augusta chapter event. Maybe go into, and I think it's kind of obvious from hearing your discussions already, but why would you be interested in bringing TAG to Augusta?
Well, I know in Atlanta there's a lot of societies and TAG societies, and there's a lot of networking and getting together and collaboration, and though a lot of the educational resources are online, I think the benefit and the value to TAG is having those types of events, especially even like business launch. You can, as an Augusta company, submit an application to business launch, but first you have to learn about it. Mm. And because I was kind of networked in myself, I knew about it, but I can't say that there were that many people that submitted an application from Augusta. So also the mayor here, D. Copenhaver, he has been really touting a concept that he calls the Collaboration Center. And he's raised $200,000 from public and private funds to seed fund what he calls as the Collaboration Center. And that's kind of to be a place where tech resources can come together. You know, one of the things that I had to do was find a California-based company to help build my mobile apps because there really wasn't any resource around here. I did look into some of those in Atlanta, but this company out in California priced it right. But it would really have been great for me to have somebody here in Augusta that I could have gone over there and wring their neck if I needed to instead of yell at them at the telephone. But so we feel that bringing TAG to Augusta in conjunction with the Collaboration Center, and then of course the other things like the chamber, and we're trying to develop a culture of innovation here, and not just in technology, but in business processes and in healthcare. You know, we've got the medical college. Actually, now it's the Georgia Health Sciences University here, and so we're looking to kind of tie all those things together, and we're hoping that TAG Augusta will help facilitate that.
You know, one of the things that we're blessed to have an opportunity to do is sort of eclectically network in the old-fashioned style across so many verticals, now so many geographic areas. We get an opportunity to talk to several locations around the state. And I think it's an issue where it is important to note that there are a lot of people thinking in innovative ways about building out the infrastructure and where there's an old line about bloom where you're planted. You know, we often talked about the idea that at some point the promise of the Internet or the digital distribution economy was going to allow you to pick where you wanted to live, how you wanted to live, and it wasn't necessarily going to be driven by metropolitan cities or natural resources or some traditional reason for having to locate. And I think it's something for you to note that not only are you building a new company, but you are building this culture of innovation in Augusta that's going to help create an environment that's going to allow people to do just that, to be able to choose Augusta and stay there if that's really the community that they want to live in, and not just because of its access to technology or access to connectivity and the ability to be able to connect into this global interconnection that we're building out called the digital economy. Well,
sure.
One last comment, and that is, how would we get in touch with you? I think you've got some provocative and interesting ideas. You certainly, as I mentioned earlier, I think is a game changer in terms of the approach towards public safety. As you point out, maybe it's not specifically 9/11, but that whole environment is in a shift, and certainly it's going to go digital and go much faster in an electronic way. How would we get in touch with you if any of our listeners are interested in talking to you more about how they might collaborate with you or maybe even invest?
Sure. Oh, well, investing would be awesome. Email address is gordon@guardianwatch.com, and, of course, the website is guardianwatch.com. The applications are in the iTunes and on the Android store. They're free to download and create a report and join a network, a neighborhood watch group. So those are the best ways to get a hold of me. I don't answer the phone all the time, but it goes to my Google Voice, and then it emails me the message, and so I can then respond by email. So I kind of like doing that.
Well, Gordon, I think a lot of us in our group here in Atlanta are excited about what you're doing specifically and in general what's happening in Augusta, and I think you're going to find a lot of comrades. When you talk about a collaboration center, we think of the entire state as that being a collaboration center. So we'll look forward to nurturing and working with you and watching you as you progressively build a company and things get more organized with the TAG Augusta chapter. Thank you so much for taking time and for sharing your vision and the passion that you have for what you're developing and for joining us today on Tech Talk.
Thank you very much, Frank. I appreciate the time.